Hey there, welcome to Matt's Garage in part 6 of my Neoru build here, which if you're just tuning in now, it's a 2000 Dodge Neon body that I grafted down on top of a 99 Subaru Forester platform. A lot of people are asking why I did this, and basically just because it was fun, but I am building a very useful car here. This car also is a snowplow, so it is all-wheel drive and everything. This is a EJ25, and yeah, so we're just going to go from where we left off in part 5 here. And I've just been going around. I connected up a couple of grounds that I neglected before, and I've been fastening up some wires and replacing a few burnt out light bulbs. I actually thought I had a problem because neither of my clearance lights were working on the front here, and it turned out both the bulbs were just burnt out, so that's an easy fix. I have a confession to make. I have a wiring issue, and actually I know I indicated that I had all the wiring sorted and tested and functioning at the end of the last video, but what had happened is I was unable to get the signal switch to work at the end of the last video, so I just kind of assumed that I had wired it right. It seemed basic enough. And when I got that signal switch working, it turned out I didn't wire it right. Or I did actually. I have the wires hooked up correctly here, but the car is wired differently than the Neon, so it's just not going to work. It's the signals are actually backfeeding into the brake light circuit, so all my brake lights are blinking, all three of them, when I turn on the signals in either direction. And the real easy solution for this is actually I ordered the trailer harness that plugs into that plug. That's a factory plug on there, and it has a little adapter box that changes the way that power comes out, and so it will allow me to hook these wires up just like I have, only I have to run the signal wires from that box on the trailer harness there. I'm just working on the hood latch right now. And this is a Neon hood latch, but I want to use the Subaru cable because it's got the nice handle and integrated into the dash and everything. So it pretty well works, but the little slot there is not the right size. It's not tight enough. It's got to fit in that groove there, and it doesn't. So I just have to weld that up basically, and then re-drill it or burr it out or whatever, and get that fitting, and then that'll all work. You can see I started to put the transmission cooler in, but the hood latch actually goes behind it, so that prevented me from finishing that. I was happy I was able to get the wiring harness strapped up on the top side of the core support there, so it won't catch on anything if I bottom out. And then in the corners I've got everything strapped up nice too. And there we go. Got that. You can see a bit smaller slot in there now, and the cable slides in there nice and tight. So I'm just going to wire wheel this and paint it up before I put it on as well. Just finished changing the plugs and wires. You can see the old plugs there. They don't look too great, but they don't look too alarming either. So I've just been doing everything I need to before I put the radiator in. Like, I've got the transmission cooler lines are out in the corner there now. I had to bend metal lines over a little, and then I have them protected with this old piece of radiator hose. Down in there I put a piece of heater hose on the long line. I've got all the wires strapped up, of course. I've put several coats of paint on everything to protect it. I just changed oil in the engine, just changed the thermostat, new fuel filter, new plugs and wires, all that kind of thing. I just want everything up to snuff. I put new battery cables on. Well, it's a used one off a PT Cruiser. I've got the radiator all ready to go on. You can see I cleaned up the overflow bottle. I hate having to look into them with a flashlight just to see where the level is, so spent a good hour cleaning that all up. I blew out the core here. I plugged off the cooler ports there so they don't drip, and I clearanced right there. I had to clearance a little bit because the belt was contacting there, and just strapped back this wire harness a little bit. And I do have a new cap to put on it yet, so we're going to get that put in now, and then I'll get the rest of the engine bay back together. And well, here's hoping this is the final fit here, and I can just stick it in and leave it in. I've taken it in and out like 6 times already, so it's very tight with this reservoir on here trying to get it in. I think, yeah, the hood latch cable. Oh, that wasn't good. I decided with the car being black, I'd do the upper mounts here in the contrasting green to match the bumper. Okay guys, there you have it, all installed. You can see what I mean by it being real tight over there, but it all clears, all good, and you can see I've got, it's not contacting anywhere around there. Well, I just finished a bunch of cleanup and it still looks pretty bad. I did something really not smart. I was working on my intake tube here, and I got a little crinkle in the edge there, so I was looking for something that would slip inside here that was the perfect size, so I could just put a pry bar against that and pry it back out. And guess what's the perfect size to fit in here is a aerosol can. And yeah, I pried a little too hard, and next thing you know, getting showered in paint spray. So what I am doing here is I've got this set up to go right like that. Okay guys, well here we go. I'm really happy with that myself. The one thing though is this car, because it's a boxer engine and it's got 2 cylinders here, 2 here, and then the base of the engine is essentially in the center. The breather system has 3 hoses. There's one here, and there's one down there. And so they all got to connect to there. So what I'm going to do is basically build a catch can, a expansion tank, whatever you want to call it, down in here that all 3 lines will connect into, and then it will have one big port going up to that. I have these materials look like just random pieces, but I'm going to use one of those for the main bung to go back to the intake tube. And then this is actually a hollow piece of tube, and so I'll make the other bungs that I'll get. This actually I built for Nash's bicycle when he was little. See, it's got a screwdriver handle on it, and it mounted under the seat. And that's how I taught him how to ride his bike without training wheels. I would walk behind him and hold on to the handle and keep him upright. I wanna put a little dish to these, so I think I'm actually going to use this pipe and then go get a socket and use a hammer to make a dish in there. So I want a little flat spot in the middle of the dish for the bung to sit in, so I'm going to use, I'm not sure which end I'm going to use with this. I'm going to heat that up with the torch a little here. So there we go, that's kind of what I'm looking for there, and now I'm just going to do the second one here as well. Okay, well now we gotta get these down to this size here. So we'll just kind of center that on there and draw a circle around it. There we go guys, looks pretty darn good. I don't think I'll have any leaks or issues with that. So here we go, I just have random parts everywhere, but this is exhaust connector here. And you can see that it's got that really nice step down in it, and actually that is exactly the right size for the cone filter to slide over. So what I'm going to do is cut it right here so it have that cool little step in it, and then I got to weld a plate to that, and that'll basically bolt up to that flange there and seal on it. Look at this, guys. It hasn't been this clean since I set up the car in here last fall. Okay guys, I've got a few things going on here. Of course I got to mount up this tank, so I built this bracket. It's going to actually mount it. There'll be welded nuts under those tabs, and there'll be tabs welded onto here, so it will essentially drop into this, and then there'll be a couple bolts that hold it down into that. And then this is for the cone filter to fit onto, and then this is going to weld onto a piece of plate. Okay guys, you can see I've got actually a 2.5 inch hole in there. That's the biggest hole saw I have, and then I'm going to weld this on. The hole's not quite centered either, so I'm going to weld that on, and then I'll clean up the hole and match it up to that. I'm actually going to finish cutting it out now. You can see how that's looking so far. And basically it has to fit up perfectly to that, so... If you've been around the channel for a while, you might recognize this. I made it out of a wood router. And it works great for running these burrs and stuff, and I have been using it on this project. I never happened to take a video clip of it yet, so I figured I'd show you how it worked to ream that out, because it's perfect for things like this. Okay, well I just got done that. I had to, basically what I did is I made the holes oversized. Those are the factory nut inserts, by the way. They weren't welded on originally. But anyways, I made the holes a little sloppy and then bolted it up loose. And then I perfectly centered it in there. You can see it lines up perfectly with the plastic edge there. Everything will line up now. Well, okay guys and gals, I got that all done. You can see I finished that really smooth because there is a sealing surface there. And just wanted to make it look as good as I could from every angle. This is what I'm going to paint it with. As I said, I got a bit of a blue theme going with my intake here, so this and that little tank I made, I'm going to paint with this bright blue. Okay guys, I just wanted to show you this. I still got to finish some stuff up, just polish up a few edges and knock off a few burrs, but that is a PCV tank all done and mounted. Well, tripods are handy for more than just mounting cameras. I'm just getting the little tank sprayed up. I just got some primer on it right now. So here we go. You should be able to get the full effect of what's going on now. This is just for mock-up, this filter. It's an old garbage one, and it was only 2.5 inch, so I had to cut the mounting snout off it there, but when I put the proper filter on, it will come right up to here, and then there'll be a clamp here. Okay, so as you can see, I've made this very crude cardboard template here to represent the lower half of the filter box. And I can't quite hold it all in position here, because of course it's going to be suspended up a little bit, but you get an idea. It's going to be a box kind of shaped like that, like a V shape. So now that I have a rough template of what I want for the shape of the air box, I have this complete roof skin off of a Neon actually, and I'm probably not going to use it for anything else because it's just 22 gauge. So here you can see I'm just marking it out actually using this Marks All pencil because I was burning through Sharpies too quick on that dirty paint. But I've already got that, that's the one face, and then that's the other, and then these are the two ends. Okay, I'm just going to be using this 60 grit flap disc to clean the paint off these, and then we'll get to it. Okay guys, I made pretty good progress. You can see I got that all cleaned up. I've got the flange on there and it's all drilled. And then you can see this panel. Well, okay, I got that kind of rough together there. Of course, I got to go around and grind off all the welds, but so here's a very early mock-up of what this is all going to work like. So I'm actually just working on laying out the lid here. I'm going to make it out of this 20 gauge. This is actually a door off a 89 Ford Econoline van, but it happens to be 20 gauge thickness, so it'll work nicely for the lid, and I'm actually going to use this body line for the front edge of it. Okay, here's a little progress update. This is the first part of the outer scoop, the top and the sides basically, and then this will be the front here. Okay, well there it is, kind of mocked up. The air box is kind of where it's going to go, but the actual top piece here is held up by the center baffle, so that'll sit down more. But now one other thing is down in here, you can see the air box is sitting right against the brake lines going to the ABS pump. So I'm actually planning on making a little indent in the side of the box to accommodate those and just give it some clearance. Okay guys, just doing another update on the airbox here. I am progressing. So you can see the inlet there, and then if you look in there carefully, you can see there's now a baffle in there. And so that baffle goes down and around the intake here, and the mass airflow sensor comes out here just under the baffle. So I'll just lift the lid so you can so see there, that's how that baffle, you can see how that slides down in there. I don't even have it welded in yet, it's just pressure fit. Here you can see I just have the mass airflow sensor set up in the lid here, how it sits. You can see I have this marked out, and this is where I'm going to make some indents to clear those power steering lines. And then on the other side, same thing, a bit smaller area, but I have some brake lines that are going to be in the way over there. Okay, now you get a better idea of what I'm doing. I got those pieces folded in, and I haven't welded the other pieces in yet. I just want to test fit it. Okay guys, well there it is outside. I actually had to just move it outside because I'm moving another car out that was in the shop ahead of it. And well, I'm really happy with how it sits with the stance, with the ground clearance and everything. I'm also glad that we did this because it alerted me to an issue. We've got a clearance issue there, which isn't a problem because I haven't completed this area yet, so I can bring that back a bit more and make sure I have plenty of clearance there like I do on the front and everywhere else. So yeah, other than that, things are rocking right along with the Neoru here. Just a little extreme Canadian weather while I'm in here working on the Neoru project. Well, that got a little crazy. I had to put the welder up on some 2x4s here because the water started pouring in the door. That doesn't normally happen unless it's springtime and the ground's all frozen over. By the way, I did measure the ground clearance the other day, and believe it or not, this car has 12.5 inches of ground clearance, which I looked up a new Jeep and they only have like 10.9. Look at this, I've finally got a proper work table going on here. The cardboard box I was using before actually melted when the shop flooded, so finally got that all cleaned up and got all my tools tidied up and organized again. I know there's still some mess in here, but that's always going to be. This is about as clean as you ever see it. So then I'm just working on the mounts for the airbox here. You can see I have the airbox kind of fit in there. It's got the indents in it now. I have to keep this plastic over here because the bats just make a mess of everything, so. Okay guys, just a little update for you. First of all, this was the hood I was using on the Neon, and I actually was gonna continue using it, but I was just going in the back. I have 3 hoods in the shop for Neons, and I was looking at one of the other ones and it's in much better condition. This one's, I actually patched it up before, and turns out this hood's actually pretty good. You can see that lip on the front there is all clean. So that means I'm going to use this hood as my mock-up hood, and I'm going to cut my hole in it, and that way if my cut's off or I have to make some sort of an adjustment, I can do that on this hood. That's interesting. I actually have an interference with my radiator cap. Nothing I can't overcome. I just need to cut a hole in the hood right there. Well, there you have it, guys. It's not done or anything, but it's kind of mocked up in there, and that's how that's going to be. But I'm going to extend this front lip down so it comes past that lip, and it will just come down for visual purposes and meet the hood. You can see I've also gone ahead and cut out where the hinges go. These are the hinge plates here, and that way I'll be able to set up my hinges here, and I have all this, room to work with the hood in place. Okay, I'm just working on the hood hinges now, so I just wanted to explain what I was doing. First of all, there's an interference over there that I already knew about with the wiper drive where it mounts up. That's no big deal. I'm going to actually just cut the hinge off, and then I'll extend it on the other end, so it will still have 2 mounting points. And then you can see the hinge right down in there. You can kind of see there's this valley here, and that needs to be there for drainage. Okay guys, this is going really well. You can actually see, I can look down through the holes and they're lined up perfectly, so I don't have to bother putting bolts in. It's like that on both sides. And you can see that is now my rear hinge bolt right there. If I hold you down on your side in there, you can get a look at how that goes now. So that actually worked out really nicely, where it puts it ahead so that it grabs this lip and then actually goes to the strut tower. So that's a lot better for me because it doesn't block the drain there, and it actually gets into heavier metal. I'm going to go ahead over here and do the same thing and slice the hinge in half, and then weld the rear hole up ahead of the front hole. There we go. The Subaru hood just donated what will probably be its last parts to the project. I just cut out the nut inserts for the hinge mounts. I just finished welding these up. These are from the Subaru hood there, and I just had to take 7/8 of an inch out of them right in the middle so the holes would be the right distance apart. Okay guys, you see I've got that plate made up now. That's what is that, 10 gauge or something? I think it's 10 gauge. Pretty heavy anyways, and then you can see where I welded that back together. And you can also see I've been working away on my hood here. So here we go. I just put a couple of bolts, equal size bolts in to hold the gap where I want it. And then in here you can see I've actually got an old nut in there, and it allows me to just set the height and then weld it to that, and that'll just be spotted down to that lip there. And that's just temporary until I take the hood off, and then it'll be set at the right height. So I just have to secure it all in there basically. So here we go. These are the temporary pieces that I welded in to locate this piece later. I was able to keep him out of my way of where I'm going to be fabricating structure under there. And then you can see I traced around it with my red metal pencil there, the Marxall pencil. And the same thing in here. Okay guys, well I just put the cal drain panel in there temporarily just so you can see how it all fits up. You can see I've got that piece made there. So that ties that corner all together, and it can still drain in behind here. Like this whole panel here will drain down into this corner, and there's a drain right there. Just pick that out and show you. See how I just integrated that in there, so it's all one piece now, and it just adds some strength to it if anything. Hey, talking to you, little dog. What are you doing? Racy, are you helping Daddy out today, work on the Neoru? Hey, look at the camera.